I would like to talk a little about resentfulness or bearing a grudge. This is when a person holds on to and remembers an offense for a long time for something someone said or did to them, for the evil that was inflicted upon them. This state is unworthy of a Christian, and in general, it can be quite tormenting. It can happen that many years or even decades have passed since a person was caused some evil, some offense. The person who committed this evil has already forgotten about it or has even died. But the person who suffers from bearing a grudge keeps it inside, continues to, so to speak, replay it in their head and gets angry and is tormented by it. It would seem that the offense or evil itself was inflicted long ago and lasted a relatively short time, but bearing a grudge allows this evil to remain in a person's soul and poison them for many years or even decades. And of course, demons also try to fix a person in this state, constantly reminding them with a certain emotional mood of what happened. Since the Lord himself said, forgive, and you will be forgiven, the demons, who certainly do not want us to be forgiven, try to leave us in this condition of not forgiving others. And bearing a grudge is, of course, unforgiveness. Bearing a grudge is not just a memory of the evil that was committed, is it? It is a memory with resentment, with anger, with a vengeful feeling. So how can one get rid of this? Since some Christians understand perfectly well what I have just said, they admit that they would like not to have this feeling. To pull out, so to speak, the splinter from the heart, but it just doesn't work. Still, it's all sitting somewhere inside. The feeling of resentment doesn't go away and continues to poison the heart. The Holy Fathers advise praying for the person towards whom we feel this unkind feeling. The Venerable Abba Dorotheus recommends, for example, this prayer, "O God, help my brother and me for the sake of his prayers." In this way, says the Abba, a person both prays for his brother, which is a sign of compassion and love, and humbles himself, asking for help for the sake of his prayers. And where there is compassion, love, and humility, what can irritability or resentfulness accomplish there? Of course, the saint indicates that one must pray from the heart. One can also pray the Jesus prayer for a person, for example, "Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on your servant," and then say the name. All these prayers are very short. Yes, both the first and the second, they take only a few seconds. And if you do this every day, praying for just a few seconds for this person, again, in fulfillment of God's commandment, pray for those who persecute you, then a moment will come when we feel that our heart has been freed from resentfulness. I must say that sometimes when this feeling of resentment is particularly acute, it can be difficult to pray for that person, but you must compel yourself, force yourself, and do it anyway. And you will see how the Lord through this prayer frees and cleanses your heart from this sinful ailment. And I have experienced this myself as well. But I can also say that it truly helps and can make a meaningful difference to make an effort to do something good, something kind or thoughtful for the person towards whom we have this bad feeling. Taking even a small step to show kindness or understanding can gradually help us to change our perspective and ease those negative emotions. Resentfulness. Of course, if there is an opportunity, since that person isn't always nearby and we don't always communicate with them, and it's not always appropriate for a great many reasons. That's how it was for me. I once felt very strong anger and resentfulness towards a certain person. And of course I prayed. But that bad feeling was so deeply ingrained then that even long-term prayer, while it helped and weakened the feeling, it didn't, allow my heart to feel completely free. I remember I was on a trip in a certain country once and passing by a shop, a souvenir shop, or I think it wasn't even a souvenir shop. I went inside and suddenly I remembered that person towards whom I felt that resentment. I unexpectedly decided that I would buy him a gift there, and when I bought him the gift, I felt that it was all gone. There was nothing left in my heart at all, as if it had never even been there. And so, from my own personal experience and perspective, I gradually became thoroughly convinced that making the effort to do a good deed, even if it is just a small, seemingly insignificant and purely symbolic gesture directed towards the person you feel resentful of, can have a meaningful impact. Also helps to get rid of this feeling, a feeling I wish everyone who hasn't yet to be free from, because life is much happier without it.